Welcome to Trial by Wine. We take a closer look at crimes that highlight how fascinating humans can be. Schmitty, Swanee and Clarky visit crimes and run them through their jury of three, debating both sides of the case to agree an appropriate, if totally fictitious, sentence. Please be advised, Trial by Wine may include explicit or disturbing content and will include drunken rambling. Listener discretion is advised. All right.
Hi.
Hello, how are we? Oh, I think we're a little bit down because we're doing a back-to-back off the back of the story of Ed Kemper.
I was just necking my last can, so I had no words whilst I was drinking. But I'm back
right.
now.
I thought you had to go and have a little baby vom because of how disgusting the last
tell
case
you what,
was.
I had to wash it down
Gross.
like a cup of cold sick.
Yeah. Yeah, which actually would go down better than that story.
Better, yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Ooh,
all right.
wow.
So because
Very
we
disturbing.
are doing back-to-back, I think we can safely assume that we just all went and had a wee and Clarky had something to drink to eat. And
Quick snack.
so who are we? I'm Schmitty.
I'm Swanee.
And I'm Clarky, and together we are
Trial by
Wine.
Woohoo! And what
Nice
are we
one.
drinking?
I'm tintoing again.
Cool.
I did say we call it Tinto. It's actually called Tinto de Verano, and it's like something of summer, I think it means. It's from Spain.
Piss of summer.
How very dare you! I find you impertinent. That's funny. Anyway, what are you drinking, Swanee?
Summer red wine is what it means. There you go.
No, you're piss of the year. I don't know. Just another. I've got a little Coke, no sugar.
Okay.
With
What happened
no-
to those ginger beers
I
I bought
know.
you?
I've had some of those. Like, go and get one of the margarita ones.
Yes.
Yeah, go on.
I'll go get one. Do you want me to do it now?
Yeah,
I'll
no,
run.
I need you to do it now. Go, go, go!
Run like
Do
a
it.
bull.
Yo, the clock starts
Go,
now.
quick! Stop looking at us. What are your legs? Springs. Steel springs.
What are we going
What
to
are we
do?
going to do? Hurl you down the track.
How fast are you going to run?
Fast as a leopard.
How fast a leopard?
Really
No.
fast?
No.
How fast can you run? As fast as a leopard.
That's
How
it.
fast are you going to run? As fast as a leopard. Well, let's see you do it.
Look at that. I'm amazed that you even remember the lines. I know. I'm also impressed that you knew that I was singing Chariots of Fire.
I present Jose Cuervo,
Mm.
sparkling Cuervo margarita.
Delicious.
This is
Okay,
just
so
sugar.
you've
Yeah.
got a sugar drink, a margarita.
A sparkling margarita.
Mm. And do you still think
Sparkling.
it's as delicious as the last time you had it?
Possibly not, but it's not too bad. It's much better than that other thing.
Okay,
That-
well, we
that was
won't
just-
mention that again.
We won't mention the other thing. No, it's
Oh,
fine.
maybe
And it's
maybe it was that
cold.
was making you feel sick, not the Ed Kemper story.
Possibly. It was
Maybe
surely.
the story itself was delightful, but the drink was so bad that it brought the mood down.
Oh, there is nothing delightful about that story.
I mean, I don't really buy heavily into the idea of putting a margarita in a can because I think most of what I like about a margarita is the salt around the top.
Mm.
So it's a poor,
Substitute.
yes. But anyway,
Any port
it's
to
better than
storm,
Coke.
eh? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And what about you, Schmitty?
Oh,
Any
I'm back
chutneys?
on the chutneys. Yeah, I'm having my second chutney, having determined that I don't have to drive anywhere. So,
I feel like I could be
yeah.
calling it sort of trial by. Well, what are yours? Cruises. What do we call these drinks? Called Alco Pops? No. Premix. It's trial by premix. It doesn't
Yeah.
have quite the
Oh,
same
yeah.
it
ring,
is
does
today. Actually, you're quite
It
right.
is trial by premix. It's like we've
'cause
really
it's
lowered the
summer.
tone.
Yeah.
We've really lowered the tone. Trial by.
Trial
Just
by trial by Cansdale.
yeah. Trial by. Well,
Mine's in a
I
bottle.
don't
If
know,
you don't
it's,
mind.
if you were thinking, oh, wine, sophisticated, don't.
Yeah.
Not
Good
for
call.
episode 65. All right. So, Clarky, do you have a story for us?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I actually do.
Excellent.
That's a relief. So this one, remember we did Scott Peterson the other week, and I told you that I came
Yes.
across that story
Oh, yes,
because
this
of
other one. Yeah,
this
yeah.
story that said not to be confused with Scott Peterson.
Yeah.
So this one is about Drew Peterson, who there's no relation, but there's some horrible similarities. So my sources are Wikipedia, of course, thank you, Wiki. All that's interesting, goodness me, they are very, very kind to us. Thank you, lovely people there. And the Charlie Project, which is quite random
I
But
don't know what that is.
Never heard of it.
there you go. So let's talk a little bit about Drew. So he was born on January the 5th, 1954. He graduated from Willowbrook High School in 1972 and joined the military. I was about to say the media.
Where was he born? Oh, in the US or here?
Yeah, in the US.
I thought you were going to
it-
say he joined the Me Too movement. But anyway.
Oh, God, don't. Though, I reckon he and Scott Peterson could have a Me Too movement
Well, we'll see about that.
if Scott Peterson isn't guilty.
That's right.
Sorry, if Scott Peterson is guilty. Yes. 1977, he moved to Falls Church, Virginia to train as a military police officer. Peterson began his 30-year career with the local police force in Bolingbrook, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. In 1978, he was assigned to the Metropolitan Area Narcotics Squad, and in 1979, he received a Police Officer of the Year award from the department.
Well done,
Isn't
Drew.
that nice?
Bless.
Peterson,
And that's the end of the story. Well
Yeah.
done,
Thanks,
Drew.
everyone.
yeah, that's right. Yep. Peterson retired in
If
November
only.
2007 at age 53 with the rank of sergeant and was given a tax-free $79,000 a year pension, which is
Is that quite
roughly,
a young age to retire?
it feels like it, which works out at almost $6,600 a month. So not a bad little income.
Stipend, yeah.
I don't know about in the US, but I know in the UK, if you've been like a lifer,
Yeah.
you get an earlier retirement. So one of
Okay.
my mates was a policeman who's retired, and I think
Yeah.
there's a certain age you can go out on a full pension, which is what this one sounds like.
Well,
Yep.
Right.
I'm hoping, unlike your mate, I'm hoping this didn't happen to your mate. Drew later lost his pension.
Oh,
And
No.
here's why.
my mate doesn't want to actually be. My mate doesn't want to be on this podcast. Maybe that's because he doesn't want to lose his pension.
Yes, fair call
Doesn't
too.
want to lose his pension.
That's right. Sorry, tell us why he lost his pension.
All right, so there's a little bit of a lead into why, but just
A little bit.
just bear with me.
How I lost my pension. by
So yeah, that's right. Yes.
Found out that I'd been murdering people for years. Yeah.
What did you do, Drew?
Well,
Oh.
I married my high school girlfriend, Carol Hamilton.
Yeah.
And we were married for 6 years. I better stop talking about it in the first person, or I'll get arrested.
Hang on a minute. But when? Not when he retired. Much
No,
earlier.
we're back in time now.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
so we started with his birth, and we skipped very quickly to his early retirement and his pension, and there's a whole lot in between, which I'm now going to tell you.
Okay.
So Hamilton later told the Chicago Tribune that Drew had never been abusive or controlling toward her, but he had cheated on her while she was pregnant with one of their two sons. Drew and Hamilton divorced in 1980, and Drew quickly rebounded with a 20-year-old Kylie Pirrie, to whom he was briefly engaged. Pirrie later told Today that her ex-fiancé was not abusive toward her either, but that he could be controlling. He always wanted to know where she was going and who she was seeing, and he sometimes followed her.
Mm.
I decided there were too many things that just made me feel really uncomfortable, Pirrie said, of ending their engagement. There were little things that just made you think, something's wrong here. Next, in 1982, Drew Peterson married Vicky Connolly. Unlike Hamilton and Pirrie, however, Connolly claims that Peterson was violent toward her during the course of their 9.5-year marriage. Once, Connolly said, he put me up against the wall in the garage and grabbed me by the throat. Another time, he told me he would kill me and make it look like an accident.
He was married to her longer than the first wife.
Yeah. As their marriage soured, Peterson went on a blind date with an accountant named Kathleen Savio. 6 months later, Peterson divorced Connolly and proposed to Savio, who accepted. They married in 1992, had 2 sons, and co-owned a tavern. But their marriage had its problems. Savio's sister suspected that Peterson physically abused her, and in 2001, Savio found a note in their mailbox alleging that her husband had started an affair with a 17-year-old. They subsequently separated, and 2 years later, Peterson married the woman he'd been cheating with, Stacey Peterson. I feel like her name wasn't Peterson when they
When they met.
when they met,
Stace.
but yeah.
Was she 19 by this point?
So yeah, but so he was born in 54, so let's say 47, and he's with a 17-year-old.
Mm.
You know, All the while, as their divorce proceedings turned ugly, Kathleen Savio began to fear for her life. As their marriage had ended, Drew Peterson and Kathleen Savio's divorce turned bitter. Savio reportedly wanted to fight for what she believed she was owed for 11 years of marriage. But as Peterson and Savio clashed over custody agreements and splitting the revenue from their bar, Savio began to worry that her ex would hurt her. "He's going to kill me, and it's going to look like an accident," Savio allegedly told her sister, Sue Doman. On the 11th of March 2002, Savio filed for an emergency order of protection against her husband. Peterson had threatened her on the phone and run after her. "Drew wants me dead," she wrote in the report, which was later dropped. "And if he has to, he will burn the house down just to shut me up."
It was later dropped by her.
Yeah. About 4 months later, on July the 5th, Savio alleged that Peterson had come to her home and threatened her. He asked if she was afraid, and she told him she was, the police report about the incident stated. She finally told him to go or do what he came for, kill her. He said, "Okay, where do you want it?" She told him in the head. He took out his knife, but then he said he couldn't hurt her. So it's pretty
That's
threatening.
awful.
high
I'm surprised she
emotion.
didn't go, when she pulled out the knife, she went, "Oh, hang on, I thought you were thinking gun. I wasn't suggesting
No, I don't
that
want to be
I'd
stabbed in the head.
I'm not
Yeah,
comfortable
yeah.
with you stabbing me in the head."
That's got to be a
No.
bad
No.
way to go, doesn't it?
No, I mean,
God.
you're just going to deflect off my scalp.
gross.
Off my
I hope it's a sharp
skull.
knife.
The scarring.
I think Schmitty's keys jaggled it about.
I tried to stab her in the hip, but all I got was key.
There's more scissors in there, like the
It's my defense mechanism.
That's my multi-tool you're talking about.
multi-tool
Yeah.
scissors.
Just
Why
cut
does
your
have a
hair
bird tweeting quite a lot? Is
That's the
that
boys. The boys
Yeah.
have got these little
Oh,
birds.
it's so sweet.
We
Yeah.
do. We've got a big
Lightening up the
bottle
mood.
brush tree outside, and they all live in there.
Lovely.
Yeah, they're really
You
cute.
can open the blinds now. We've got a sunset.
laughing at your joke.
Yes, I know. At least somebody does. The birds love it. Oh, Swanny's
It's-
on. Let's go.
It's the little mice from Babe laughing at me.
Yeah.
La la la.
The report also noted, however, that Peterson claimed that they'd merely talked and that Savio had tried to seduce him. In the end,
Ooh.
nothing came out of it.
No pun intended.
Nah. That November, Savio also wrote to the assistant state's attorney. She described a number of altercations with Peterson and wrote, "He knows how to manipulate the system, and his next step is to take my children away, or kill me instead. I haven't received help from the police here in Bolingbroke, and I'm asking for your help now, before it's too late. Please return my call or write with answers to my questions." Then, on March the 1st, 2004, Kathleen Savio was found dead in her bathtub with a 1-inch cut on the back of her head. Though the tub was dry, her hair was wet. A subsequent coroner's jury determined that Savio had died from accidental drowning.
No.
In any case, the ex-husband that she had so feared had an alibi. His new wife, Stacey, claimed that he had been with her. Drew collected life insurance policies totaling $1 million.
No.
For the ex-wife.
Yeah.
Yep.
What happens when you divorce? I would have thought that stuff was not null and void, but then you would terminate something like that.
I think if you don't change it, the
Yeah, I
beneficiary is
suppose.
the same. Yeah.
Mm.
It's like your superannuation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Swanee's face was funny then. She's like, superannuation? What's that?
What is this thing you talk of?
What is this
I have a
thing?
job to get that. Yeah. Speak to my employer.
So let's talk about Stacey.
Let's talk about
Stacey.
Stacey, baby.
About you
Let's talk
and
about
me.
you and
I
me.
thought Stacey's mom has got it going on.
Let's talk about all the good things and also a whole lot of
All
the
the
bad
bad
things
things.
that may be.
Oh.
Oh,
Peterson married Stacey when he was 49 and she was 19. On October
Is
the
he-
18th,
Is he hot or something? Like, what is it about this man that he's just pulling birds?
it's weird, isn't it? With these people who just jump from person to person to person
Hmm.
and there's no connection
but
until,
are they? Oh, I know what you're
until
sort of
soon.
asking. Well, maybe you're not asking, but I'm intrigued. Are they good-looking people, or you know how sometimes you go, "Oh my God, how'd they do that?" And you look at them and you go, "Oh, that's how you did it."
Oh, I don't
Is he like
think
so.
is he
so.
really
Just-
hot?
Two
No, I don't
mongers.
think so.
Okay.
I didn't get too hung up on
Drew
that.
Peterson.
Drew and Stacey Peterson.
Oh, yuck. I
Share your screen, Belle. Share your screen.
I
that's
just put
funny.
images and there's a whole like raft of them. And there's a photo of him and I assume it's Stacey. And he just looks like a florid middle-aged man. He doesn't look like anything amazing. I'm going to say it must have been chemical. You know, the attraction
the
must have been chemical.
chemistry. All right.
I have been
As
attracted
in
to very
Viagra?
no. I have had crushes or been attracted to very unattractive men in the past, and at least I'm conscious of the fact that it's chemical because there's no other way of describing or explaining
Right.
to people why I have a crush on X because they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's chemical. It's just I don't know, pheromones or something."
Together they had 2 children, Anthony and Lacey. If your name was Stacey, why would you have a kid called Lacey?
Because I like it like that.
So confusing.
Stacey and
Sorry,
Lacey.
did you say Stacey or Lacey? I could just imagine
It's
yelling at
Stacey or Lacey.
Stacey legally adopted Savio's children and treated them like they were her own.
Did she? Why did she have to do that?
She
Well,
didn't
she
have
didn't
to.
have
That's the
to,
point.
but
She did. It's kind of
she was
she
in
is.
love.
Because
So-
the mother was
what-
dead, remember?
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Oh,
At what
right.
point?
Sorry.
Right, yes.
Yeah. Right.
So the mother was
Sure.
dead.
Oh,
What
did you
was-
miss that bit?
Kathleen was dead
know the
before they
bathtub
got
incident?
married.
Oh, I didn't realise Kathleen was dead before they got married. Sorry.
I think so.
I thought that he'd broken up with, was it what her name?
Kathleen.
Kath.
Yeah, but
Um,
she didn't do it the day they got married. She
No,
just
I know,
did
but
it.
then that's what
No,
I'm
but-
saying. So I thought that he broke up with Kath because he'd had an affair with Stacey. He left Kath, and then a little bit later, he and Stacey got married. Then I thought he had, or
Killed
then I
her.
thought she'd died. You know, that I thought.
I
Kath-
Yeah,
thought
so they-
Kathleen died like 4 months after.
Kathleen died on the 1st of March 2004,
Yeah.
and they married on the 18th of October 2003.
So the
Correct.
kids were not adopted at that point. No, it's
No,
just
no.
she probably. I bet you the other
She
bird
might
who
have
died
objected.
couldn't. Yes, not being. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to adopt your children. I don't think
No,
so.
I'm their mother.
Okay. Right, we've got it clear. We've got the timeline. Okay.
Right.
Okay, got
Now,
it.
I know that this is exciting, and I know there's a lot to talk about. I just need you to listen for a moment.
Just shut up. Okay, yep.
Stacey was close to completing her nursing degree at the time of her disappearance on Sunday, October the 28th, 2007.
But you've jumped ahead 4 years.
Is that a problem?
No, but is that where we're going?
Well, she's disappeared,
Oof.
which is bad.
So Kath's been
Cat's
found
dead.
dead in the tub.
Yeah.
Stacey has adopted the 2 children that they had from.
Uh-huh.
And
that
it's doing a
significant-
nursing
and they've got
degree.
2 of their own. So is that 4 kids altogether?
Yeah.
Then it's happy families for a number of years, and now Stacey's been reported missing.
I think all of that is true.
Oh.
I'm not 100% about the happy families.
Yeah.
But other than
For all
that,
intents and purposes.
yeah.
And when she goes missing, is Drew the one who reports her missing, or
Let me tell you.
I'm all ears?
Stacey was officially reported missing in the early hours of Monday, October the 29th, after her sister, Cassandra Cales, failed to hear from her when expected. Drew Peterson claimed that he'd woken up at 11 a.m. that day and she was simply gone. He later said that he'd spoken to her at 9 p.m. that night and that she'd told him she was leaving him. I believe she's with someone else, Peterson told the Chicago Tribune, but I believe she's safe. No alarm bells yet. Drew initially cooperated with the police investigating Stacey's disappearance. In media interviews, he said he believed she had left him for another man, was safe, and simply did not want to be found. Not normal.
No, because normally he leaves for another woman. But yeah.
Also, normally if people separate, they're not too worried about it unless there's death
They're
threats
good.
kicking around.
Yeah,
He
she's
cla-
good. Don't worry.
Yeah, correct. He claimed he had received an anonymous letter from someone who had seen Stacey alive and well in Peoria, Illinois. That's random, isn't it?
It's also bullshit, clearly. Yeah.
Also,
He
Um,
claimed
yeah,
being the
I
operative
know.
word. Yeah.
A lot of claiming. Drew said Stacey had been under the care of a psychiatrist and was taking medication for anxiety and depression at the time of her disappearance, and that she had been irritable and short-tempered. He said she took some cash, her passport, and her bikini when she left.
That's important.
Okay. All right. Okay.
However, Stacey's loved ones did not believe she would have
However,
voluntarily abandoned
everyone
her
thought it
2
was a load of old
children.
shit.
Would you realise how hard it would be to pinpoint if a bikini had been taken out of all the things it could
Correct,
take?
yeah.
I mean, it's, you know,
Yeah. Although he was a
bizarre.
policeman, so, he's good at investigation.
bullshit.
I'd like to say he wasn't just a policeman, he was Policeman of the Year.
True.
Yeah.
So, his powers of deduction are huge. Her sister stated Stacey had described Drew as controlling and abusive and that she wanted a divorce. Police executed several search warrants on the Peterson home in the days and weeks following Stacey's disappearance and removed bedding, 11 guns, electronic equipment, Drew's 2005 GMC SUV and Stacey's car. Some items, including a nightstand, scuba diving weights, and a blue barrel large enough to hold a human body, were said to be missing from the home.
With the bikini.
Yeah, that's right. Wearing the body, the barrel had gone running down the street in a bikini. A neighbour reported seeing Drew and another man hauling away the blue barrel around the time Stacey vanished. Wow. Drew's stepbrother, Thomas Morphy, says he helped him dispose of the barrel and was paid for his assistance. Afterwards, he believed he had unknowingly helped Drew dispose of Stacey's body and became so distraught he tried to commit suicide. Drew denied having removed any container from his home and said Morphy has a history of mental illness and alcohol abuse problems.
But I just will put it out there for our listeners. If someone asks you to help them to dispose of anything that looks like a 44-gallon drum or a large suitcase and will not allow you to open it and say don't ask any questions, you might want to think about what could be in it.
Or if you're going to get someone to help you do that, those things that pop up on Facebook and say your second at is the one to help you hide the body?
Yes.
Go to that person. Don't just pick someone random.
Airtasker.
Oh.
That's Facebook fact. Surely that's true.
Okay.
On November the 9th, a week and a half after Stacey disappeared, investigators announced they believed she was a victim of foul play. Previously, they had classified her as a simple missing person. I'm not sure if that means simply as a missing person or a missing person who is simple. Drew was named as a suspect in Stacey's disappearance and presumed homicide. That same month, Kathleen Savio's body was exhumed from her grave and autopsied. The results indicated she had been murdered.
Da, da, da! And what a surprise to no one.
Correct.
But no one listened to before. That's not nice.
But was he working? I wanted to ask this before because she was saying that no one at Bolingbroke Police Station or anyone's taking it seriously. He was working there, yeah?
Good question. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, he would have had mates there.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was in the club.
Yep. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, Peterson began his 30-year career with the local police force in Bolingbroke, Illinois.
That's what I thought you said, yeah. So
glad you were listening.
Corrupt. Yeah, all right. So she's been proved murdered by the autopsy now.
What do we know how?
Let me tell you. Postmortem photos showed extensive bruising and scraping to her back, torso, and face, as well as a large, unexplained gash in her scalp. That wouldn't normally happen in a drowning, would it?
No, not if you drown in the bath, yeah.
How was that missed the first time around?
Well, the gash on the scalp, though, I will say, there was that one time in Sydney where
my goodness,
I was a bit drunk and I slipped in the bath. And you know when you've got a shower over bath scenario?
Yep.
Yeah.
Very fortunately, I sort of slipped into a fetal position and I didn't hit my head on the bath surround, but I could have.
Yeah.
And so that kind of thing, but the scraping and the bruises and all the rest are not
You also wouldn't
in line
have drowned.
with a slip in the bath.
Well,
no, because I was showering.
Bath.
I was showering. No, that's true too. Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't buy it when you first said it.
Unexplained gash in her scalp. It doesn't sound very nice, does it?
The word gash doesn't sound good ever.
Doesn't sound nice, period, no.
Not a great word. It's just not a great word. Yeah.
Will County State's Attorney James Glasgow told the press that after examining evidence in the case, he believed that the death was a homicide staged to look like an accident. On February 21st, 2008, Glasgow announced that a pathologist had determined that Savio's death was a homicide, adding that the death had been investigated as such since reopening the case following the exhumation. Reverend Neil Scory?
Armstrong?
Yeah, Neil Armstrong, if you believe. They put a man on the moon. Schori, Scori, like school, but with an ori instead of an ool.
Scory, yeah.
Reverend Neil Scori, a pastor at Stacey's church, reported that Stacey had told him that Drew had killed Savio and made it look like an accident, and that she was afraid of her husband. Stacey had provided Drew's alibi for his whereabouts on the evening on which Savio died.
That's right, yeah. If you were frightened of your husband and you knew that he'd killed his ex-wife, wouldn't you dob him in? I would. Because then he gets arrested and he goes away.
I feel like around that time you've got a pretty good opportunity to get out. But at the time that she provided the alibi, he wasn't being suspected. So
No, but he told her. Oh, did he tell her later?
Told the pastor.
I'm sure he didn't go home that night and say, "Look, I need you to be my alibi." I'm sure later when he was threatening her and he's saying to her, "You have the same happen to you, and they'll never know." Anyway, that's me surmising, but you could imagine. I've seen the telly movie. This is what happens.
I watch Lifetime.
So Rick Mims, Peterson's longtime friend, admitted.
Rick Mims. Rick Mims.
Here's a new one. Rick Mims.
Rick Mims. Rick Mims. It's hard to tell someone to be called Rick Mims.
Does he?
We are spending way too much time taking the piss out of people's names. Poor Rick. Yes. So Rick Mims, Peterson's longtime friend, admitted that he and Peterson bought 3 blue plastic containers from a cable company where they both worked part-time in 2003 and provided photos of these containers to police. Mims also sold his story to the tabloid newspapers for an undisclosed sum of money, which never adds credibility, does it?
No.
Peterson's stepbrother, Thomas Morphy, who had a history of drug and alcohol addiction, attempted suicide 2 days after he allegedly helped Peterson carry a plastic container from Peterson's Bolingbrook home in his SUV, fearing he may have helped dispose of Stacey's body. So here's the one we spoke about earlier. Stacey's sister, Cassandra, said she wanted Peterson to take a lie detector test about his knowledge of a blue container that she saw in his garage 2 days before Stacey disappeared. Joel Brodsky, Peterson's attorney, denied that any container was missing from Peterson's home. There were also reports of truckers referring to the containers, but their stories were treated as not credible after it was discovered they had not been in Bolingbrook area at the times they claimed. To the chagrin of the victims' families, Drew Peterson seemed to relish the media attention. Haven't we just heard about someone else who liked that?
Because he's not a narcissist at all.
Yeah, correct. Seemingly unconcerned about his wife's whereabouts, he quipped on the Today Show in February 2008, "I'm not trying to be funny here, but Stacey Peterson would ask me for a divorce on a regular basis. And it was based on her menstrual cycle."
Oh, right. Straight to sentencing.
Yep.
He said that on a TV program.
Yeah, good morning.
So on January the 23rd, 2008, Peterson and his attorney Joel Brodsky called into the show of Chicago radio personality Steve Dahl, who had been lampooning Peterson since the case began. Brodsky suggested that Dahl host an on-air dating game with Peterson the following day.
What?
But the radio station manager and Dahl decided not to go through with it.
Oh, thank God.
Peterson appeared on
bad
CNN's
taste.
Larry King Live on April 11, 2008, with Brodsky again present to advise which questions Peterson should answer.
Who was Brodsky?
His attorney.
The attorney,
Okay,
yeah.
right.
The interview reran on May the 9th, 2009, 2 days after Peterson's arrest. Peterson subsequently made guest appearances, including one from County Jail, on radio station WLSAM and Mancow Muller. That's weird. Oh, sorry, with Mancow Muller.
Who's Mancow Muller?
Also weird. I'm
right,
assuming that's the radio station host.
Oh, right.
After that radio appearance, Will County Judge Stephen White severely limited Peterson's access to the media because he's just basically going on everything. Yeah. In December 2008, Peterson's publicist Glenn Selig confirmed Peterson was engaged to a 23-year-old Christina Rains.
Huh?
She would have been his 5th wife.
I'm so sick of this man and his wives, yeah.
On January the 30th, 2009, it was made public that Rains had moved out of Peterson's house. Her father, Ernie Rains, had issued an ultimatum to his daughter out of concern about the way Peterson tried to control her and what he feared Peterson could do. Rains moved out of Peterson's home when she came to her senses, calling the engagement a publicity stunt designed to keep Peterson in the media spotlight. On the 7th of May 2009, Peterson was indicted by Will County Grand Jury and arrested for the murder of Savio. Bail was set at $20 million. In October 2009, Peterson sued JP Morgan Chase for revoking a home equity credit line that he wanted to use to pay legal expenses, claiming his income of nearly $109,000 per year was not sufficient. In July 2010, Judge White ruled that Peterson would remain in the Will County Jail for the remainder of his trial and appeals process. Prosecutors argued he could pose a danger if released. On the 21st of July 2010, it was revealed that hearsay statements indicating Peterson killed two of his wives were not reliable enough for a jury to hear at his trial. After presiding over a lengthy hearing, Judge White issued a 4-page sealed ruling in May, obtained by the Daily Herald. White ruled that prosecutors proved Peterson killed both Savio and Stacey by a preponderance of the evidence, but nearly all statements attributed to Stacey do not provide sufficient safeguards of reliability. So the standard of proof in homicide cases is beyond a reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Preponderance of the evidence is the standard for fact-finding on questions of admissibility of evidence, even in criminal cases. So the issue was...
So there wasn't enough fact around it to be able to say
correct.
we could
prove...
correct. Beyond
so
reasonable
whilst
doubt.
there's all this evidence...
So there's all this talk, though. It's because she's disappeared, there's no body, right? There's no forensics.
Well, there's that, but also... all of the stuff that is hearsay, for instance, there's nothing that you can't say.
That's it. Yeah, it's hearsay.
That hearsay is
fact.
Fact, correct. No. And therefore, do you want the jury to hear that? And I'm not saying that was the hearsay bits that were ruled out, but it was that kind of thing. Stacey's statements were crucial to the prosecution's case as it lacked significant direct evidence. In April 2012, an Illinois appellate court ruled that prosecutors could use 8 statements made by both the victim prior to her death and by Peterson's still missing 4th wife, Stacey, prior to her disappearance, reversing White's earlier decision. So they allowed then the statements in. Peterson's defence had contended that introduction of these alleged hearsay comments constituted a violation of his 6th Amendment right to confront any witnesses testifying against him. The Illinois state legislature attempted to help the prosecution with the passage of a new Illinois law, later dubbed Drew's Law.
Oh, God. It's like Bruce's bill.
which allows prosecutors to enter hearsay statements into evidence under certain conditions.
Okay.
Passed while investigators were still looking for Stacey, the legislation permits courts to consider statements from unavailable witnesses, provided that prosecutors are able to prove that the witness was killed to prevent his or her testimony and that the hearsay statements are reliable.
I think what I'm confused with here is that you're saying in order to prosecute him for murder, we should prove that there's those birds. We should prove that she's dead, but I don't know. It's very confusing.
The Kookaburras think it's fucking hilarious, don't they?
Well, they're
it's
probably
just
following
nonsense.
It better than I am. I'm finding the whole thing very hard the legalese of it, I'm finding quite hard to follow. Yeah.
This would get laughed out of the Bush court.
Right, okay. Our kangaroo court. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, it is quite legalistic, isn't it? I probably should have revisited that.
No, it's fine. That's probably the point, is that there's all this manoeuvring around it as opposed to trying to find this woman's body or this woman. Yeah. That's what I'm waiting for you to tell me when someone actually tries to find her.
Well, anyway. I think there were people trying to find her. She was just very well hidden. So, analysis by the trial court under this new law led to 8 of 14 hearsay statements being ruled inadmissible because they were insufficiently reliable. On appeal, however, the Court of Appeals reversed the trial court, ruling that the common law doctrine of forfeiture by wrongdoing, which is less restrictive than Drew's law, would allow the statements to be admitted. So
you forfeit the right of not having things admitted because of wrongdoing. Wrong.
Yeah. So if you're a naughty man, then you lose some of your rights.
You have forfeited the right to good medical care when you decided to put a vacuum cleaner pipe up your bottom.
Correct.
Well, yes.
Something
Yes, I
along
think
those
that's
lines.
what. Was that your friend who used to say that?
No, it's from the tall guy. Anyway, it's just
okay.
a movie quote.
Yeah. On August the 22nd, 2012, Jeff Pachter, a witness at Peterson's murder trial, said Peterson offered him $25,000 to hire someone to kill Savio and told him it would be a secret he would take to his grave. So, on September the 6th, 2012, Peterson was found guilty of the premeditated murder of Kathleen Savio. Jurors admitted that the most compelling evidence was based on the hearsay statements allowed under Drew's law. On February 21, 2013, Peterson was sentenced to 38 years in prison for the murder of his third wife. That's a long time after old mate was sentenced to 7 to 25 or whatever.
7 to life.
7 to life.
Yeah.
Some states seem to be very specific about the number of years.
The 7 was throwing me.
I think the 7 is the amount of period of time that before you can go before a parole hearing. It doesn't mean you get out.
But we've had 2 to 20 as well.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't either.
We talk about this every time. We do not understand.
Can someone teach us? Thanks.
Someone tell us.
I don't know if it's teachable. I think it probably is so complicated and different by state.
It's certainly not Googleable because I haven't even tried. Yes, so he was incarcerated at Menard Correctional Center in Chester, Illinois, but later moved to the Federal Correctional Institution Terre Haute or something in Indiana. Within a month, he was attacked by another prisoner who hoped to sell his belongings on eBay.
How? Do they even have access to the internet?
Well,
they don't in Australian. No, they don't in Australian correctional facilities.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How do they Google stuff?
They don't.
So there were a number of appeals, but the Illinois Supreme Court upheld the conviction. In December 29, Peterson was released from federal custody and transferred to a state facility outside of Illinois. His location is not being disclosed for security reasons. In October 2021, Peterson filed a handwritten petition for post-conviction relief with the Will County Circuit Clerk. The petition alleges, amongst other claims, that State's Attorney James Glasgow had intimidated witnesses during Peterson's 2012 murder trial. So in 2015, he goes to trial for attempting to put a hit on James Glasgow, who was his attorney.
Oh, God.
After a fellow inmate tipped off prosecutors to the plan and wore a wire to capture evidence against Peterson. So
this is turning into one of your telly movies, isn't it, Carla?
Oh, yep. Like it should be. So how long before you think your uncle can take care of business? Peterson asked the inmate. When the informant replied that the hit would be done by Christmas, Peterson responded, "It'd be a nice Christmas present." In May 2016, he was found guilty of solicitation of murder and solicitation of murder for hire. He was subsequently sentenced to an additional 40 years in prison. Peterson has continued to maintain his innocence in the death of Kathleen Savio and the disappearance of Stacey Peterson. In November 2021, he sat down for an interview with Dateline and insisted that he hadn't hurt either woman. The prosecution is making up facts, he told Natalie Morales. The prosecution staged a prosecution with Kathy. They took an accident and staged prosecution. He said prosecution a lot already. Everybody's twisting it to make me look bad, okay? They're twisting it to make their prosecution...
They don't have to try very hard.
...or what they're trying to say against me work. When Morales asked Drew what kind of husband he'd been, he responded, "I was a loving husband, okay? What can I say? I was a good husband, a good provider." That doesn't change the fact that one of Drew Peterson's wives is dead and another is missing. Although Stacey Peterson hadn't been seen since 2008, her family maintains hope that her remains will be found.
Couldn't they find where the barrel went?
No, they could not.
I find that hard to believe.
Why?
Yeah.
Like if you drop it in the ocean with currents
but I don't know. Did they drop it in the ocean? That's what I'm saying. Where did they do it?
Well, they couldn't find it, so they don't know.
But did they look?
The guy who thinks he dropped it off, where did he drop it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where did they go looking?
No, that was loading it into the car.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I didn't realize he was there.
I thought he chucked it somewhere. Okay.
Yeah,
right.
No. So as of this year, Stacey Peterson remains missing. And Drew Peterson, if he knows anything about her disappearance, isn't talking.
It's keeping stumm.
But he may yet get his cometh uppance.
Oh.
In May 2022, it was revealed that Drew Peterson's former defence attorney, Joel Brodsky, is considering the release of confidential information protected by attorney-client privilege. Stacey Peterson's sister, Cassandra, was annoyed by the possibility that Brodsky could face legal penalties for revealing such information, as she felt that it may be the needed information to solve Stacey's cold case. Cassandra argued that she would stand by Brodsky and support his actions if he came forward. Brodsky had temporarily lost his legal license in 2019 for unrelated reasons, and is under the continued gag order not to disclose anything that Drew Peterson shared with him in confidentiality. It is unclear if Brodsky actually knows any information about the whereabouts of Stacey Peterson, although he has claimed that he does, stating, "I know everything about both of his wives." Everything.
Yeah, well,
I feel bad about Drew still not taking responsibility and Stacey still being missing. I'm thinking about maybe revealing what happened to Stacey and where she is.
I'm thinking about maybe doing it, but what's in it for me?
Well, it's a big thing for a lawyer to breach attorney-client privilege.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can get Reggie on to talk about that.
Yeah, and it would be an interesting topic actually about the moral dilemma I'm sure that you face at times. Yeah.
It's so I think it's less about the moral dilemma and more about the client needing to be able to be open about
everything.
What's happened.
Yep.
Yeah, otherwise you get this
otherwise
thing
they
where
won't
the client
tell you the
doesn't
truth.
say anything and then correct.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go. So that's the story of Drew Peterson. Ironically, both cases still have some currency to them.
I'm just disappointed that there's no sign of Stacey.
Well, imagine how her sister feels.
Exactly. No. I mean, it's terrible. There's no closure for the family.
There were children too, remember?
I know. And she'd adopted and was raising the other children as her own. I mean,
what a nightmare family situation he's created. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what is his motivation? Like, I'm just going to work my way through all these women and, it's
money.
It's awful. It's not just money, though. Like,
right
like, to marry them in the first instance, there's no money in it, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, all right, he got the insurance from Kathleen, but I don't think he killed her for insurance. I think he killed her because she was shitting him.
Yeah.
And he thought he could get away with it. Anyway, sorry, Clarky, what are your thoughts?
I think he lost the insurance money as well.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works years later.
It was all gone.
Correct.
I feel like he thought he would never get done because he was too in with the other police.
Absolutely untouchable. Corrupt.
I find it weird that because he's not like Ed, who we were just talking about, who is also for our listeners, last week's episode, who is absolutely a serial killer. But why wouldn't you just go, fuck, me and women are not great together? You know, I've had 8,000
he doesn't think
that. I don't know that any man has ever had that.
It's not him. It's not him. It's them. She's on her
No, that's what I'm saying.
Period. That's her problem.
Yeah.
But that's my point. That I've had so many of them. They all cause me grief. Why don't I just go, you know what?
I'm going to try men.
Because he's an asshole.
No, I'm not even saying that. Just I'm just going to be a loner.
No.
Yeah, we don't want him. God.
No, because he likes women. And he enjoys having a woman look after him. He likes all that sort of stuff. It's just when that gets a bit difficult.
If she gets a bit lippy, then
that's when it's not so great. Yeah.
Bit PMSy, then he's really trouble.
Yeah, God.
The
Stop
PMS
trying to divorce
really
me every month.
Oh, God.
God. Yeah.
He doesn't sound like a very nice chap.
So, yeah, look, I don't know. I think I have issues with the drowning. I just think people need to be a little bit more thorough in their work.
The complete lack of any forensic work, yeah.
Correct, yeah. You know, if you can exhume a body years later and find evidence of murder, but you can't find it
first time around.
Did we establish whether or not that was somehow involving him in the sense that it was like corrupt police who knew him? Did we have any? There's no suggestion of that.
Yeah, well, no, there's not.
No.
No, it's an oversight,
okay.
Carla.
Okay.
You know how it works. It's never deliberate.
No.
So I think I'm going to put him in a barrel.
Oh.
Ooh.
You know how you said she was in a container? I'm kind of picturing a large plastic drum. Yeah, that's what it was?
Correct.
Blue barrel,
Blue
barrel.
yeah. So I'm going to put him in one of those, and I'm going to take him to Niagara Falls and throw him off.
Brilliant.
Oh my god.
And
nice.
see how he
I was
fares.
thinking that too.
And then if he's all right at the bottom, I'm going to pick him up, I'm going to take him back up and throw him off again. Again. That's pretty much my sentence for him. I think that's fitting.
That'll pick him.
That'll get him a good one.
Yeah, that'll get him a good one.
I would think that someone of his nature, and we don't know an awful lot about him, but I think perhaps given he is a bit of a corrupt cop, I think maybe being on the inside and having no protection and having people come after him must be pretty terrifying. So I think, the fact that he has to, it's not being publicised where he is, etc., means he must be having a pretty rough trot, which I think he deserves. But I'd like him to really feel that sense of having no one listen, because I think with Kathleen, when she was trying to reach out for help, she was trying to go to, I don't quite understand who it was, but I guess it's somewhere that sat outside the local area, something above it, saying, please, my husband is a policeman, he's, been honoured here or whatever else, he's threatening me, I need someone who will listen to me, he's going to kill me, please, please, please. But obviously no one heeded that, nor did they after she had died, it would appear. So I just want him to have that idea of being utterly helpless, where he's always had, the police department behind him, and, when you're that character who's got your buddies.
Feel protected.
Correct. And we all know what that feels like in certain situations where you feel like, you are alongside someone or someone's going to help you out, versus being in situations where you know that you're either outnumbered or you're on your own, and not in a terrifying way necessarily, but we all know what that feels like, the difference. So imagine that amplified, and him in prison. People are aware that he's a bad cop, and that he has no protection. So I dare say in the real world, it probably doesn't work like that. They probably love crooked cops because they probably think they can get more out of them. But for my sentencing, just a situation whereby he's totally on his own in there and without anybody by his side, he's just left to his own devices. Weak?
No, it's fine because there's an awful lot of stuff that's going to happen to him.
Yes,
because he's unprotected in that environment. Yeah. It's pretty nasty, really. Not weak at all. Yeah, well played.
I think I'd like him to have branded on his forehead something like "I kill women" or "I kill my wives" or something like that. That means that every other woman he ever meets is going to know straight away to stay away from him, because I'm just shocked at how...
full well that wouldn't work. I guarantee there'll be women contacting him in prison going, I think
that's okay. Like, but they're fully aware of what they're getting into.
I get it. I'm just being critical.
Yeah, but I agree with you. People totally would still do that, but that's on them.
Yes, of course.
And then if they do end up in a barrel later, we tried to warn you.
we gave him a sign.
The problem is these girls didn't have that.
No.
Yeah, true.
Knowledge, and he's a serial offender as far as I can see, and I don't like that. I also wonder what the need is for him to keep finding new partners when he's getting to the point of having to kill them. He's escalating, he's getting threatening and all this sort of stuff. What's he looking for? And how do you make sure he never gets that either?
Yeah.
So I don't want him ever to be able to have another partner, but I also want whatever it is that he's looking for from that. I don't know whether it's because he wants someone to cook his meals and wash his dishes or his clothes. I don't know what kind of weird gender roles he likes to have other people fulfill for him, but there's something it just kind of stinks. And so
I think you're absolutely right, though, that he likes to have the little woman at home looking after him.
It's something like that. Yeah, and I want to feel powerful, and if that means I've got to pick on a woman who's more than likely smaller than me, then that makes me feel good about my life.
Yeah.
I feel really sorry for his attorney, who is now in this horrible situation where he probably knows exactly what's gone on and is in, I imagine, the sleepless nights. My God, just how horrendous would that be? And again, that's Drew, by not saying anything, putting that pressure on his attorney, because
he doesn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit. Exactly right. You know, these women are expendable and it's all okay, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. There's that whole thing of how do you make him suffer, Schmitty? And I think, you know, maybe a slow leak in that barrel going over Niagara Falls that leads to a long, prolonged drowning might be nice too.
All right. Well.
All right.
That was a good one. Thanks, Clarky.
Well done.
As we say every week, miss you already.
Miss you
already.
Miss you already. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Trial by Wine. You can contact us at trialbywine@gmail.com. Please rate, review and subscribe to Trial by Wine on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to support us, you can become a patron at www.patreon.com, Trial by Wine, or visit our website www.trialbywine.com to donate to us. Your support will help us cover many more cases and apply wacky sentences. We really appreciate you listening and hope you tell everyone about us. Our cover art is by John Christo and music is by Beauchamp from pixabay.com.